Oh, the show. Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Super License F1 podcast. My name's Rod.
My name's Zach, and
How's...
I've got beef.
What do you mean you got beef? Come on, we're 5 seconds into the show.
Come in this morning, I was like I'm coming into the podcast offices. I come into the podcast office, say hi to Wendy on reception, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be on video today. I'm going to pull out. I own a little bit of Formula One paraphernalia.
Whoa.
Memorabilia.
Show off. Look at this guy showing off.
Yeah, and so I will go and get from under the bed my few Formula One caps that I own. One, right? And I was like, I'll put the McLaren Honda one on, the Fernando Alonso, like on the back signature. Like I think I picked this up in like when they were like rebranding, they had a massive sale of all this stuff. I was like, £5 or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, Rod's going to be so impressed. And
I was impressed, bro.
And then you come on and you pop out. It's a hat on a hat, it feels like.
Well, I mean, I saw your hat and I went, oh man, I wish I had an F1 hat. And then I realized I do. This old Lotus F1 team, the Kimi Räikkönen one, the one that you paid full price for me from wherever you were, Italy or somewhere. You brought it back
right.
from me.
Yeah.
And then the next year, Kimi left Lotus and they were on sale. They're probably still selling them at the Australian Grand Prix. They've got a whole shipping container somewhere full of them. They're trying to flog for about $4 each. But, you know, I mean, thanks.
I doesn't even have one.
I've always appreciated that. I've still got it. And you said that won't fit over your headphones. And I was like, fuck, it won't. And I mean, it's having a go.
It's having a real red hot go. It's that hat on over those headphones is about as successful as the Lotus F1 team was.
It's a real vibe. It's just not for me. Thanks for tuning in to the Super License Show. We're a Formula One show, and we're two guys. We're just two guys having a good time talking about F1.
Gee, that's
an old
down a rabbit hole there. Yeah, we like sports, and we don't care who knows. Okay,
there's been a few races, so we'll talk a little bit about them. But it's one of those races is the race that we don't like to talk about, so we won't talk too much about that one. But there's been so much off-track action that F1 has been going off, so that we've got plenty to talk about.
Yeah, no, there's heaps to talk about. And you need it, and there's been a lot of. I feel like there's been a lot of people contacting me because they know I like Formula One, and some of them even know I do a Formula One podcast. We do a Formula One podcast, and they're like, "Oh, mate, tell me about this. Tell me about this Christian Horner thing." Like they're looking to me that I would somehow know any more or less than what is already being reported everywhere. And I feel like every day I wake up to new news that I was like, "Oh, there's more players involved here." So, do you want to? How do you want to do this? Do you want to give me this? Why don't you give me the state of play as you see it right now? Where do you think we are?
I can give you the 30-second update because because the reason I would do that is because so much of this has already been raked over, and a lot of people listening probably have already heard this. But there was an accusation of inappropriate behavior from Christian Horner towards a female staff member that was being investigated. A whole bunch of stuff leaked about that. Oh boy, there's a bad smell about a lot of that, and it sure seems like some stuff went down that was not very good at all. Park all of that for one moment, because if I get started ranting about that, I'll be here all night just talking just about that. But then there was an investigation. The investigation cleared Christian Horner of all wrongdoing, and then Jos Verstappen got extremely angry. He got all Tim Robinson from I Think You Should Leave about it, and he just couldn't let it go. And he's like, the hell, Christian Horner is getting out of this team one way or another. And he really lit a bomb under the team. And he's been saying things like, he's tearing this team apart. The team is going to explode if Christian Horner isn't dealt with. And unfortunately, it's bringing a lot of things to a head. There were rumors that Marco would be leaving the team. There were rumors Adrian knew he was going to be leaving the team. There's still rumors, I think pretty live rumors, that Max Verstappen's going to leave the team, which just seems unthinkable. But that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, it does feel like it's kind of drawing everybody in. What was a Horner story, which is a serious story, but it was like it was very much like Christian Horner. And I remember texting you being like, I don't see him getting out of this one. Like because there's no point. Like
we thought by the next race he'd be gone.
Yeah, I really thought so, because my opinion was that it would be less about what Red Bull thought about this, because they'll just back Horner to the hill, although we're finding that maybe that's not the case, and what the sponsors and what the FIA and what Formula One management would want, which they don't. Ever since we kind of had the F1, like the Liberty Media takeover, they've been really about like, cool, let's like round the wagons around Formula One, set up this like closed garden, and it is a package that is really well managed. And media, we run the media around it, and this F1 journalists and stuff, and that's all cool. But we'll give them the stories that, not to say that investigative journalism isn't happening, but like Formula One presents itself as like a whole thing in one go, like one big team, like proposition, I suppose. One big product is the word I'm looking for. And so, yeah, the FIA weren't really down for that. Head of the FIA wasn't really in for that. Ford came out and were like, we're going to be like your engine partner in the future, and we don't want any of this stinky stuff around us either.
Stinky.
Yeah, so stinky. Ew. And then really, I thought it was kind of mad that that Jos Verstappen got involved. Like that he only really exacerbated the problem. And there's been weird things around like Adrian Newey for a while. Like, why wasn't he in Red Bull gear at testing and at some of the races? Like, he's just in jeans and a shirt and carrying a clipboard around. Like, he's been in it. Like, the ideas of him being in and out of that team have been going around for like 10 years.
I remember when he retired like 5 years ago, and then like 6 months later, he's like, I suppose I've got a couple more cars left in me.
Yeah, here's a couple of fresh notebooks so we can pull out of that. And then Max saying that I could never even race at Red Bull if Helmut Marko wasn't there. Like, what does Helmut Marko have on all these drivers? That like,
I have no idea. And also Jos Verstappen saying, hey, if I don't want Max to drive at this team, Max won't be driving at this team. And it's like, mate, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Who are you?
Mean, is this just all, I suppose this is one of those situations where you kind of go, you see it in other sports, right? When the franchise player, this has happened with Kylian Mbappe at Paris Saint-Germain, where he's like, I'm French, I play for the Paris team, we should be the biggest team in the world. And I'm kind of like the boss guy now, like I'm the biggest guy in the room. It happened with Virat Kohli with Indian cricket. Like he essentially became like Prince, King, Emperor of Indian cricket, and the BCCI, like the body that kind of runs cricket in India. And so Max Verstappen and the Verstappen family are obviously kind of like, well, this is our team now. We're in charge. You make decisions that there'll be no second. Like you don't replace Perez with someone we don't want him replaced with. The sponsors, we're going to have probably some hand in that too. Succession planning, all that kind of stuff. So if they want Horner out, they'll probably be able to get him out, right? Because now there's a fresh little seat somewhere else opening up next year that I'm sure wouldn't be a bad thing.
It's
over at
hard
Mercedes.
because obviously Red Bull incredibly successful, but they've always had that mixture, that combination of a good engine supplier, Adrian Newey designed car, Christian Horner, and some star driver, and that has always been the recipe for their success. Or we can't say that they would be successful if you took away any of those elements, because we just don't know. But when they've been successful, they've had all those elements. Yeah. So there's just no telling. We will be just as successful if you get rid of Christian Horner, or we will be just as successful if you get rid of Max Verstappen. We don't know. But no. I think for sure, I don't think you could just drop Max Verstappen in any team and they will just suddenly, in a year or two, win 4 straight championships, for example.
No, we saw it with Sebastian Vettel. Like, it didn't happen. Like, you drop him somewhere else. Doesn't, like, it's the whole thing at Red Bull. And maybe that's why they may be more reticent to junk Horner, because maybe he is the foundation, and then you put an incredible driver on top of that and you get great outcomes.
Maybe
not to change the topic. Maybe it's Perez. Maybe
you can look at what they're trying to do with Ferrari. They're getting Hamilton. They're trying as hard as they can to lure Adrian Newey, and apparently he has all these demands, and they're like, we will meet every single demand that you want. Just please come and design us a car that wins about 10 championships. That would be great.
What brand pencil do you want? We can get them.
Yes. That's the kind of thing where I can imagine, I mean, I don't think that Fred Vasseur is on the level of Christian Horner for really anything, but if they had all the other elements, they might be successful, right? So I just don't see it's just hard to imagine Red Bull being successful without Christian Horner, because he's been there for so long.
Well, but this is also just all the kind of stuff that we just didn't expect to see from Red Bull.
Sure.
Like, this was always the stuff that would maybe happen on the driver's side, right? All the drama was on the Red Bull program, young driver program. Promote a driver mid-season, demote another driver, send some guy off somewhere else. or be mean about Honda to their face, or mean to Renault to their
Those
face.
guys
Yeah,
Honda.
exactly. And be like, you guys kind of suck. Actually, they're like, that we provided you power units for all those winning years, and like, yeah, but you can fuck off.
GP2 engine, GP2.
Yeah. So that kind of, it was never really, I don't feel like we ever really heard anything about, like, specifically around that triumvirate of like Marco, Horner, and Newey. Like, they were the guys, they were making this thing happen. And it turns out maybe they don't like each other at all. And
Marco is like really painting himself as like a sort of like a louder kind of figure, right? But like,
yeah,
I don't
he's
know.
definitely louder than everybody else.
Well,
So what do you think is going to happen here, though? Like, give me your conjecture.
I think, well, I think that if there's one more thing that involves Christian Horner that's controversial or damaging, I think he may go. But it's dependent on that one thing happening. And if everyone pulls the shoelaces really tight and nothing else comes out about him, he might be okay. The problem then will be where to for Max. Does he stay at Red Bull? Does he leave? They're pretty much, they've got this year kind of, like, I heard that the designers are already moving on to designing next year's "We Won the Championship" shirt. That's how good this car is. They're, back in their winning ways already.
So easy.
Why would he leave? That's my big question. That's been my big question the whole way along. Why would he leave?
Yeah, so I suppose this is the other thing, because it's happening so early in the season that you've kind of got this whole year now of, will they just kind of be at detente and be like, all right, let's just win the championship.
Let's just win.
And the whole back, behind the scenes will be this constant tussle for power between Verstappen and Marco and Horner to try to make the next move. And maybe the thing that would start to disrupt that is maybe they won't win every race, because I think I kind of agree with Jos Verstappen a little bit, is that you will kind of, the seams of the team will start to come apart a little bit, because there's nowhere really to hide in Formula One anymore, because there's so many races and it's more complex than ever, and the team dynamics are more complex than ever. Like, they're much bigger teams. So
I did make a little video about this a week or two ago when it was sort of just starting to become something people were talking about. And I did point out that Jos Verstappen is making a valid point that this seems to be really causing a lot of tension within the team. That said, one of the people that's really aggravating that situation is Jos Verstappen.
Yes. Yeah.
So when it's like, hey, this really threatens to pull this part in two, it's like, well, you're pulling in one direction. You're equally, like, I mean, I'm not saying you have to just get behind Horner blindly or whatever, but like, you're one of the major players here.
Yeah, I don't know if you have to get behind any of them. I
find it hard.
I feel almost nothing for the Red Bull team these days. Yeah. Like, if anything, oddly, like, Max Verstappen's the person I kind of like the most out of all of them. Like, Max has had this really weird trajectory in my mind where he was like fun when he's coming through, but also a bit awkward. And then he became too like, I am the best. It's just going to happen for me. And then it did happen, and he won a couple. He's like, cool. So now I know I'm the best, and that's all fine. But I'm also growing up a little bit, and I don't know. He's more fun again, maybe. Like, I enjoy his interviews, and I enjoy the way he talks about his own performances and the sport and all this kind of stuff. I like that he's been quite openly, like, annoyed about sprint format and all this kind of stuff. Like, that's good.
Oh yeah, that's
like,
what it is.
He breaks ranks when Formula One, as I said before, as a product is very much like, no, we're all on exactly the same page. And he's like, nah, I like this postcard over here instead.
He's less brash, but he's got that Kimi Räikkönen element of, I just don't give a fuck.
No, exactly.
And I'll say whatever I think about things, and
that's right.
That's just the way it is, because what I think about things is what I think about things, and I'm asked what I think about things a million times a day.
Yeah. Apparently my job is to answer those questions.
Apparently that's my job. Well, any last words about this story before we move on? Yeah,
if they start losing, they're in real strife.
I think that'll be
if they lose a couple of races, they've been lucky it's 1-2s. But yeah, if things on the car start going wrong, or like, and I'm not even talking about like Max making mistakes or like that, like, but he gets annoyed when things go wrong. So who does he point that anger at? Because, Christian Horner has always been the guy who gets on the ring and goes, no, Max, I'm so sorry, my son, like,
I'll melt this car into a ball, roll it into the ocean, and build you a new one myself.
Yeah, exactly. But now, Like that power dynamic is not like that at all. Like
Yeah.
Max is in charge. So
No, I think you're right. I mean, I think, and I've said this about, I feel like I've said this so many times in the last 11 years that we've been doing this. Things are great when you're winning. It's when you're not winning that things become kind of a problem.
exactly.
Shall we move on to Ferrari?
Yeah, the teams the teams that aren't winning.
The team that's not winning, the team that wants to win so badly and is not. And unfortunately, we've got Carlos Sainz leaving at the end of the year, which means he's checked his pockets, he's checked his locker. He has no fucks left to give. And I feel like there's going to be sparks this year, I'm telling you, because the thing is, he's got the talent to challenge Leclerc, which if I were Leclerc, I'd be just a little bit worried about that.
Yep.
We got a little taste of it in the first race in Bahrain. I hashtag boycotted Saudi Arabian Grand Prix because why would you watch that race? And so I'm waiting for the follow up to the great opener that we got with those two. But in the meantime, we had a little matinee from this guy. He's not quite a bear. He's not quite a man.
He's not all man.
He's not all a man.
So Oliver Behrman, I didn't know anything about at all. Like when people were like, "Oh, Carlos Sainz has got to come start, he's have to go, his Benny's taken out." I was like, first of all, how does a man like him get it? Like, God, when Formula One drivers get struck down by the most innocuous things, like I hurt my hand, I can't drive for ages.
I would have thought everybody. Remember when who was it? Was it Helmut Marko that was saying, "Hey, maybe all the Red Bull drivers should go on an island and get COVID, and then they'll be done with it." I feel like if you're a Red Bull young driver, like appendix would be gone, tonsils gone,
gone.
Any flaw, your flaws all just get removed. Like a big laser passes from your head to your toes, and you just come out like
any freckles. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're all gone. Yeah.
So
they're not all clones in the clone zone. Hey, finally something Carlos and I share though. Don't have our appendixes. Yeah, finally the one thing.
Yeah. But Bearman steps into the scene. Finally, a British driver gets a break. You love to see it. And
the commentators couldn't stop talking about this man from Chiswick, wherever he's from, Chelmsford, Chelmsmoor upon Trent. I don't know, but God, there's lots of British drivers in Formula One these days.
Plenty.
And there has been for ages.
Someone said something like, "Oh, there's 4 British drivers in the top 10," and it was like 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. Awesome, guys. But I mean, it's good to see a new driver. Tell you who I feel bad for is Pierre Gasly, because he's out of a 20 driver competition, he's 21st.
That sucks.
Sorry, mate. Bam and 7th and points on debut. Pretty good effort.
Yeah, but the Ferrari's car is pretty good. I don't know. I feel like this is always what happens when we get a driver come in, having to replace someone. Like I don't know. Maybe I've got this wrong, but it does feel like whenever this happens, it's always like, oh, they perform pretty well. Like we had it with Lawson last season. We've had it with Palmer in the past. But they come in, and if the team's good, like I think it's always proof of that it's 90% team and 10% driver.
Oh, like George Russell, and he's obviously stepping into Mercedes, nearly wins.
Yeah, basically won that race. Yeah, so there's this guy's obviously fantastic. I'd never heard of him. He's 18. That's pretty old these days for a Formula One rookie. I feel like we've seen this story so many times that I feel like it was almost overblown. Like the amount of reactions, like, oh my God, he's so amazing. Points on debut. It's like, I mean, I'd probably hope so because he's at Ferrari and he's a really great driver. Yeah, exactly. All things being equal, and him finishing the race. I mean, and it's at Saudi. Like this is a big open track where you've got to be Lance Stroll to drive into a wall. Like these are the kinds of things that was that at that race. Maybe I got that wrong. But there are good on him. Like great, but that's not unreasonable. Like he didn't win. He didn't get on the podium. Got some points. Cool. So did Haas. Like that's more interesting. I feel almost like that maybe some other drivers who weren't meant to got points. So I don't know. And we probably won't see anything from him for a long time now, right?
No,
we won't.
That's what I was thinking.
Probably won't even be in Formula One next year.
Something tells me the drivers we got now, those are the drivers we're going to have for a while. They'll just shift around a little bit. But I mean, I just feel like the driver lineup is pretty set. Because why would anyone leave? And no one wants to get rid of anyone right now.
No. I suppose only with, it could be just other things like drivers getting older and like giving it up. But who is actually, let's play this game. I'm going to Google this. Formula One drivers' age.
Ooh.
Drivers, ages. Okay. I want who is. Oh wow. Other than who's the second oldest driver outside of Fernando Alonso
Is it Lewis?
and Lewis Hamilton? Yeah. So let's take Lewis out.
Lewis.
Lewis is how old's Lewis Hamilton?
39.
He's 39. But then next, can I order this by drivers? God, why is
Next,
it like
Hulkenberg.
This? Scroll. Yeah, probably. Yeah. How old do you think Hulkenberg is?
37.
He's 36 until he's 37, which will be later this year. But yeah, 36. And then the rest of them, other than like Bear, who's a man, like Valtteri Bottas, 34. He's not going anywhere.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't have thought of him.
Carlos
Perez will
Sainz.
be right up there.
Yeah. Carlos Sainz will turn 30 this year. Like that,
Okay.
Carlos Sainz is going to turn 30.
Weren't Ricciardo,
Sergio
isn't
Perez
Ricciardo
is
like 33 or
34.
something?
Yeah, Ricciardo's 34.
Yeah,
We've
they're
got
all
all these guys who are all. We've got all these men, including Fernando Alonso. Like,
his Formula
actually,
men.
let me just count that. Yeah, his Formula men. We got one. We got 1, 2, 3, 4,
This is
5,
riveting.
almost 6, 7. 7 people on the grid who are going to be 30 or older this season. So, and then the rest of them, all the guys you think are young, are all like 26, 27. Like they're not.
Yeah,
like, they're
you
not
think
the
of
like
Max Verstappen as
22-year-olds
being
anymore.
young, but he's been in the sport for nearly 10 years.
Yeah, Pierre Gasly's 28.
Yeah.
Like these are like Charles is 26. Like there's the really young guys. Albon's 27. Like he's almost an old man. So yeah, the idea that the sport is flooded with these really young guys, that was a little period in Formula One, and they've all stayed. And now they're all in their mid-20s, and there is like Yuki Tsunoda is the word, I suppose. But if you're in your 30s, young 30s to mid 30s, and you're at a team that has no interest in like risking it all on some F2 driver, like the Magnussen, Ricciardo, Hulkenberg, Bottas, there's no reason to get rid of them.
Maybe that's it. There's just too much at risk.
Yeah.
You think
Does
with
it
the
feel
salary
like
cap, though,
is it aging though?
there'd be more people with the salary cap who would be like, like we don't need to worry about that because we don't need to worry about finding another $10 million because we can't spend it anyway. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and that might open up opportunities for younger drivers.
Yeah. Maybe it's not. Maybe the younger drivers aren't good enough,
Yeah.
or maybe they don't want to go to the shit
Burn on them.
teams. Maybe they want to go to the good teams. Like,
Well,
I don't know.
We just lost all of them as subscribers. Thanks, mate.
Yeah. Ooh, sorry.
Anyway, we're way off track, but what are we talking about?
We're talking about Carlos Sainz versus Charles Leclerc. Sainz has got
How
no
young
fucks to
Bearman
give.
is. He's a
Why don't we
part man,
pivot
part
then?
man.
Because the talk is that the bit of talk around Carlos Sainz is that he might be the Audi driver in 2026.
Oh yeah.
By that point, he'll be what, 45 years old, something like that. Fernando Alonso probably go there too. That'd be good. There was a little bit of rumoring going around that as stuff's been changing at Audi, they've been changing their leadership teams, and they're like, we're really interested in motorsport. And then the new guy comes in, he's like, motorsport's okay. But you know what we're really interested in is selling commercial vehicles
Everything
to
else.
people. And then just this week, Audi were like, all right, we're just going to buy all of Sauber. We knew we were going to part buy them or take over them, but we're just going to do it all. We're going to 100% purchase. Seidel, the team principal there, is going to be the CEO of I think he's the CEO of Sauber Racing. He's going to become the CEO of Audi Racing. And so we're going to get Audi F1 in Formula One 2026, which when I say that, it feels like it's ages away, but in a year and a half, we'll be almost there. And they'll have a fully developed car by then, and we'll be testing it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then Sauber will be finally gone.
Is it something you're really excited about? Like, I can't wait for Audi. I can't wait for Audi to be in Formula One because I couldn't care less.
I can.
It doesn't mean anything to me.
I can care a lot.
So tell me
for two
about
reasons. I'll tell you why. Long-time listeners to the show will know there is only one other motorsport thing that I watch, and it's Le Mans 24.
Le Mans 24.
Because it's on once a year, and it's fun to listen to it on the radio. And it's on for full 24 hours, and it's great. Don't do
I
any
made
other
the
motorsport
mistake.
stuff.
I was talking to someone at work, and they were like, I watched Le Mans on the weekend. And I was like, oh my gosh, Le Mans, you watched Le Mans. How did, like, that's amazing. How did you even stay awake? And what did you do? And then she was like, I watched the Le Mans, the GP, like the motorbikes. It goes for 2 hours. What do you mean stay awake? I'm like, I hear Le Mans and I just think
There's only
24-hour
one Le
endurance.
Mans. No, there is only. It's just that race. So Audi were really good in the World Endurance Championship in that formula for a while, and then the other thing, point number two, is their Volkswagen Group, and Volkswagen Group isn't in Formula One. They're one of the biggest car groups in the world with a brilliant racing pedigree across so many cars in their group, but specifically Audi and Porsche and these other brands. That they kind of just it would be good to have another manufacturer in Formula One, like a real car company who is not like a little bit on the side and like name only, like Aston Martin, take as an example, or Alpine.
Sure.
I suppose they are Renault, but like we feel like we're down to there aren't really any car companies in Formula One. Like there's Mercedes and Ferrari, and there's these guys, McLaren, and they're good again, which is nice.
Yeah.
But it does feel like this is. I think it will be a real power move. Like I genuinely believe that it will take them like a season to get really, really, really good, and we'll see a genuine challenger. Like a bit like when Mercedes, it took them a little bit of time to get in again, and then they were like, "Oh yeah, we can throw 1,000 people at this problem," and Ferrari's really easy to beat, and so will Red Bull if we just like are really.
Well, that's the thing. If anyone tries, you can out-strategize Ferrari any day of the week. So you just need that one race where something like might be to play for, and then just pit at the right time, and you'll be sweet. The thing that I'm waiting to hear about with Audi is who's going to drive for them, because obviously Carlos Sainz is very much like penciled in there.
Yeah, which I don't know what that's based on.
It seems to be like himself just going, "Hey, my dad knows literally everybody in the whole motorsport world. I would love to have a great fallback if things don't happen at Ferrari, because if any frontline driver comes here, I'm the one that's going to get pushed out. Everyone knows it. But now that Max Verstappen's name has been like thrown around as like someone who might want to move somewhere, I'm sure all of a sudden Audi and a few other teams are like, forget everything else. If we can get him, we will get him. So I think
spend whatever you need to get him.
I don't know what's going to happen there. That might mean that a really good seat at Red Bull opens up when they're still very competitive.
That's the other question, right? Like we didn't really get into that. But what is Red Bull without Max Verstappen?
Yeah, we don't know. I mean,
because
if Perez is anything to go by, they're cooked.
Yeah, but like there isn't. What's it going to be? Like Lawson and Tsunoda? Like,
Verstappen going to Audi and then racing whoever at Red Bull, that would be a spicy competition. But I guess I'm waiting to see, like I said, waiting to see who the drivers are going to end up going to be. And like you say, what kind of team are they going to put together as a new team? It's been a long time since we had a proper new team, period, but also a new team that was genuinely competitive. Not just like, Haas was okay out of the gate, but then they kind of just fell to the backfield and stayed there. So a serious competitor that might be able to break into that top three and stay there for a while.
Yeah, and they're taking over a Sauber team that's fine, but is not like world leading,
Well, you can't imagine that they want to take over Sauber and continue coming second last.
And what we like is that you guys are there every week. We really attracted us to you.
Second last is right ahead of last.
Yeah. Man, I can't get this idea out of my mind now about Red Bull and Max, because I feel like the whole time we've been doing this show and that I've been following Formula One closely, there's always been the next guy is at Toro Rosso or is it Alfa Toro? Like that there is another guy who's like, oh, he's really pushing. Like he's going to be the next one. And so, it was Vettel and then it was Max. And then we haven't had that guy again.
No.
So what does it even mean? So maybe, if you're a Red Bull, you'd just
unfortunately,
be like, oh, God.
I guess the next guy is Daniel Ricciardo making another move back from that team back into Red Bull. And I've seen these comparisons and it must be clickbait, but there's people online being like the head-to-head comparison between Perez and Ricciardo for that. And it's like, Perez 2 podiums, Ricciardo 0 podiums. And it's like, one of them's in the best car on the grid, the other one's not.
Yeah. Perez, millions of pounds in sponsorship money. Daniel Ricciardo, maybe a little bit of Optus money. Yay.
Car sales.
Yeah.
Well, that was going to be the other team. Should we move into the other teammate battle that we were going to talk about?
Yeah, let's do it.
Ricciardo versus Tsunoda, a battle I was not expecting, but I don't know whether it's just that idea that Ricciardo is the third Red Bull driver in waiting that has pissed off Tsunoda, but he just seems out of sorts. He doesn't seem
Erratic?
right in the head.
Tell me more. Why do you
Well,
think this is? Like,
what's
give
the
me
go
some
with
examples.
cutting off Ricardo
Yeah.
during like it was during practice or something, or was it after the race? It was but there was no reason to do anything, and he almost hit him a couple of times. And Ricardo was like, "I don't even have to say anything. You guys know what I'm saying. You guys know what I'm talking about." Like
It's
that.
exactly how it went down. Yeah.
Ricardo is pretty good. It's getting better, but I mean, from out of nowhere, it feels like Tsunoda is stirring that. And
Yeah.
I think the
We thought he-
problem,
Yeah.
Tsunoda's been improving, and Daniel,
Yeah.
I think there's still a question mark over Daniel. Is he picking that fight on purpose?
Yeah. With Tsunoda, you think Ricardo might be picking the fight?
I think
Maybe.
Tsunoda's picking the fight because I feel
Yeah.
like I think people are not even talking about him as a Red Bull contender, and I think he wants the fight because then people
Yeah.
will start comparing him and Ricardo instead of Perez and Ricardo.
Yeah, there's lots. I mean, there was a bit of media in the season break where it's like, oh yeah, we're keeping Tsunoda, yada yada yada, because we have to. Honda said we have to, and you're like, well, that doesn't fill the poor guy with confidence, does it? It's like you're here because your company said you had to be here, so fine. You know, it's like you have to take your little brother to the party. Oh,
It's
do
very
I
much
have
like
to?
that.
Fine.
You can go, but take your brother. It's
Yeah.
very much like that.
Blah. So yeah, Yuki Tsunoda, he's like, I'm my own driver in my own right. I felt like the last couple of seasons he had kind of rounded that. He's like, I take this really seriously. I'm a Formula One driver, fully accepted.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's probably a couple of things. Because I don't think that team, sorry, VCarb Cash App, whatever. Whatever.
I bone to pick about that as well. Keep going.
Here we go.
I'll bring it up.
Finally, some energy. But they just kind of I don't know. They're kind of falling into obscurity. That they're not good enough, and there's neither of them are pushing into that Red Bull 10. It's always the story. It's like, oh, look at these young drivers. They're feisty and they push, and like so. I feel like the what makes Red Bull is draining out of that team. They're like, well, they are feisty, like upstarts who are changing the Formula One world. It's like, no, now Formula One has been molded almost in their identity.
Yes.
Or it's become a more complex product. So there is nothing supremely challenging about any of their drivers anymore. Perez is like the most conservative guy on the grid. Tsunoda, maybe he's the only one who's like, oh, cut off my teammate and try to start a fight. Maybe that is a bit of like positive Red Bull energy, but they probably don't like it.
Well,
what do you hate about VCarb? Tell me more.
Oh, well, let's get into it now then.
Let
me pull this up. Like, let me ask you a couple of questions to start with. That Sauber team name, we call them Sauber.
Oh,
we
yeah,
don't
what
know
are
what
they
the
called
team
now?
name is.
Strike.
What's that team name again? Can you remind me?
It's Strike while the Sauber's hot. In green.
Did you say Kick Sauber Ferrari?
Sauber Ferrari? Fuck
Because that's what
me.
they're listed on Wikipedia as.
No.
And do you know that Team Visa Cash App RB? Oh, do you mean RB Honda?
Ribbit.
Like, what the hell is going on here?
It's a real Kermit name there, Ribbit.
Oh, you know that team Alpine? Oh, do you mean Alpine Renault? Like, huh? That's not the team names. It does make Ferrari and Mercedes just look all the better.
Is it
Like,
because
I mean,
they
that's
can't put
sort
the
of been a
sponsors
running
on there?
joke.
No, because they are the sponsor. Kick.
But it's like, are they Stake F1 team or are they Kick Sauber Ferrari? What the hell?
Why don't Kelly
Pick
call
a
them
lane.
Strike? Yeah, pick a lane. Yeah, exactly. Give back that racing line.
That's
no,
it.
it's no good. At least I do like the green though. I was unsure, but I'm here for it. I like them, that you can spot them, especially in these night races.
Really green.
Yeah, I like that.
Just so green.
Yeah.
Like, which team is the green one? That's the green one.
The Strike Steak Delicious. What were they called again?
Stake
Serious.
F1 team Kick Sauber.
Kick Sauber. That's right. Well, at least soon they'll just be Audi. It'll just be Audi. There's nothing complicated about that. Okay.
I like that people are calling it Sauber. That's it's fabulous that that's caught on. Like I thought it would. Racing Bull. I've seen people call it Racing Bulls. I'm like, but it's not called Racing Bulls, but it sort of is. It's a mess. This team
it's a real
situation
mess.
name is a huge mess. Should we just go maybe quickly whip around the grounds?
Yeah.
Whip around the
yeah.
track
Yeah.
and just have like hot takes about a whole bunch of stuff. You've got a whole bunch here that you want to touch.
Oh shit, do I? Great. Yeah. Okay.
Do you want me to prompt you and you can respond?
What? No, why
Do I
don't
need
I
to do
prompt
that?
you?
Okay.
Let me prompt you. Let's do that. Okay. So here we go. Number one, Alonso, good. Question
Yeah,
mark.
he's good. I
He's
mean,
good.
he more than doubled Stroll's points last year. Is he good? Of course, he's still good.
But he's so good. Like that.
Yeah.
Like the overtakes the last couple of races have been like excellent. It's like he's sometimes it feels like he's the only guy who remembers that you can do stuff like that you don't have to just wait to the DRS zone and be like, all right, here's the strategy, guys. We'll just creep up on him, and then when the time comes, we'll use the DRS and we'll drive around them, and then we'll see if we can hold the position.
Race it is. There's that race with the banking where last year he was overtaking people on the inside, overtaking people on the outside on the banking. This year he's going to be like doing flips over the top of them. It's going to be insane.
Like Fast and the Furious.
He's such a creative entertainer.
He is. He's a creative driver. Like he tries stuff, and some say he was a world champion back in days of yore.
Alonso good. I think we've settled that one.
Sorted. Done. Alonso good. What about Ferrari? Fine.
Is this a form question? Ferrari, are they pacey, racy? Is that what we're asking?
Well,
or are they like
you tell
Ferrari?
Me.
They're just fine.
Just react. That's fine, right? Not good enough.
The thing,
but also not bad.
I was checking the Wikipedia yesterday. That's how I noticed all these wacky team names. The thing I noticed looking at the standings and the championship entrants, the constructors, it used to be front runners, midfield, back of the pack, back markers. It feels like now it's Red Bull, the other 4 teams, and then the back 5 teams. And that's like, I mean, I was going to say they're evenly split 5 and 5, but the Red Bull's a whole other league of their own. But it's like Red Bull, see you later. Then there's the race between Ferrari, McLaren, Mercedes,
and Alonso.
And Alonso and his teammate. And then the rest that are just like, fighting for scraps.
Yeah, I suppose that's the story. We are getting, I think, a little bit of good story around the 2 drivers that I think that kind of jump out from the rest of those teams are Alonso and Alex Albon. I think they're the kind of joker in the pack every week, every race weekend. You kind of be like, ooh, Albon might do something here. He's quick, the car's good. Like if all signs point in the right direction, we might get a little showing here. But yeah, I think you're kind of right that there's just, it's a shame because it's kind of predictable in that Ferrari are the second best team. They just need to kind of string it together, but everyone just sits there holding their breath, waiting for something to break or strategy to go wrong. And so let's take it to the next step then around McLaren. Are McLaren doing enough? Are they the exciting team because of Lando and Oscar Piastri, who Oscar's just slotted in there so easily? A bit like Lando kind of landed pretty well on his feet when he got in there. Like I don't think we talk enough about how McLaren just seemingly are a very good Formula One team, and they don't really have any right to be, considering the kind of teams they're up against. But they've just sorted it out. Like Zach Brown runs a pretty tight ship there, and they've got the right team, and the car's good, and they've got the right suppliers, and the drivers are just really excellent.
Yeah,
did you see that Oscar Piastri that little meme going around the other day where was it a British radio presenter asked him like, would it be great for Lewis Hamilton to win the world championship? Would be great for him. He's like, no. And like, what? He's like, it'd be great if Oscar Piastri won the world championship. And I was like, fuck yeah, man. That's it. That's the right answer. Why are you asking me?
He's got that Andrew Gaze mentality when he was at the Olympics. Do you remember Andrew Gaze? He was the captain of the Boomers.
Do I remember Andrew Gaze? And I picked my basketball number because I loved Andrew Gaze. The one time I saw him in person. I forget.
I'm talking to a huge Gaze head. I'm sorry. You're Gazy. I'm sorry that you're Gazy. You're gay for Gazy. Sorry, I forgot. He was asked at the Olympics. What are you and your team targeting? And he said, we're targeting the gold medal. And they went, what do you mean you're targeting the gold? Do you mean bronze? He's like, no, I'm targeting the gold medal.
The gold medal.
Because why the fuck would I be here if I'm not targeting the gold medal? Why would I even show up?
Yeah. It's crazy. Stupid narratives. The one time I saw Andrew Gaze close up.
Here we go.
Was it a Subway? And he was ordering a Subway in front of me. And I was like, I walked into the Subway and I went, fuck, it's Andrew Gaze. Like,
the thing I bet.
He's a big, tall man.
I was going to say, the thing I bet taller than you expected, right?
Yep, they always
Yeah.
are. And football players always shorter than I expect.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. They're always a bit
I
shorter than I thought.
I mean, I played. We both played a lot of basketball
Oh, we're
in our youth.
ballers.
We were ballers from way back. But I
Yeah.
also got dragged to a couple of like division games with like the
Okay.
third tier
Mm.
where it's like sort of they have the same jersey as the Melbourne Tigers, but they're not quite the
Yes.
Melbourne Tigers.
Yeah,
But like
sure.
they're the guys that fill in for the guys that fill in for someone in the Melbourne Tigers.
Yeah.
But then when it
They're the
comes to the
Sandringham
finals,
Sabres.
yes, exactly. When it comes to the finals, though, all of a sudden Andrew Gaze is there, Leonard Copeland is there, and it's like, wow, you guys really want to win this. And this
Bradkey.
is just like on a Bradkey on a random Thursday night. Go and see Bradkey at the Dandenong Basketball Stadium. Free entry, and you get to sit right by this. It's great. It's just great stuff.
What is it about you and wanting to go to lower league sport? Like we used to go to the ice hockey in Melbourne. Like it'd be like
Us and 300
600
other
people.
passionate fans on
There'd be
one
some
side of the
60-year-old Swede who is better than all of the best ice hockey. Like it's like, what are you even doing here? Like, how much are they paying you? Did they pay to move you over here, or did you just find out that there was some? Like, are you even a professional ice hockey player?
It's great stuff. I think I've been going there lately to the you used to go. The thing about the ice hockey was you used to go and see the ice hockey, then you would walk across and have dinner at the place opposite because the owner of the team owned that place as well, and
Yeah,
he'd made the
Melbourne
team
Ice.
go and eat dinner there. You basically paid them in food, but the draw card was you can go and eat dinner with the team. I've been going to that very place for lunch every now and again because it's turned into like a big like children's and shopping entertainment center. It's no longer the old place that it used to be, but the DNA, the bones are still there. But no Joey Hughes. There actually are, I think, a few jerseys on the wall, but no Joey Hughes action, which is sad.
This is such a this is why we do it. Best thing
Anyway,
about that was that
last thing on this before we move on.
because they were called the Melbourne Ice,
The Melbourne Ice.
which is just like calling your team the Brighton Grass. Like it's just the best
The
thing in
F1
the
vroom
world.
vrooms.
Yeah, we're the F1 Revs. We are Team Drive.
We're the sports winners.
Team Wheels. Good for them. So yeah, here's my final one, Rod. Mercedes. What's the deal, man? Like here we are again.
I don't know what to say. It feels like they don't understand how to get back to the winning ways that they had. They're just sort of treading water, hoping for success rather than manufacturing it or orchestrating it.
Yeah.
They really seem hopeful of success rather than working towards anything. I'm sure they are working towards something, but I just don't know.
It seems odd, right, that they made a mistake with their car last season and they were like, early on, they're like, ugh, that was wrong. We should change it. We bet on this one thing and everyone else did the slim slide pod things and very quickly copied Red Bull. And then they were like, we're not going to do that. We've got our own ideas.
Yeah.
We've got our own Adrian Newey. You don't know his name, but he's here and he's around and he uses an iPad instead of a notebook. And he's very smart and good. And so, and then it didn't work. And then this year they're like, we will learn from our mistakes. We're going to do that. We're going to be more aware of the other things that other teams are doing. And then like already they're like, yeah, fuck it. The car's bad again. We did it again, everybody. It's Home Alone 2. We did it again. So I don't know. Like is the drive also eking out of that team a little bit? No, I won't. I sometimes feel like it's just George Russell there being like, come on, guys, we can do it. Let's go. And Lewis is like, oh, this car sucks. And Toto's like, oh, fucking George, shut your mouth.
We know the car is bad. We know. I can play the
yeah.
Should I play the? Here we go.
The car is bad. We know. Please drive it.
Here we go. You could just for you.
Please drive it. Please, Lewis.
please
drive it.
We don't have any options. Let's just get this race over with.
We've got two cars.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. And I mean, what's even worse for Mercedes is they're not going to sell any Lewis merch this year because everyone already knows. Just save it. Anybody something red.
Anybody who wanted Lewis merch already bought it. They've already got Mercedes LH 44 tattooed on their bodies. They're going to have to get it redone with the Ferrari logo. All right, let me ask you the Ferrari question.
Okay.
Something I want. If we were in person sitting around, I would ask you this. How long will Lewis be at Ferrari for? How many seasons?
I don't think you do this and then just like piss off after 1 year. So I think 2. It'll depend what happens. If Ferrari are not third or higher, it'll be 2. That's it.
Yeah, he's it's got to be championship in the second year, or close to it.
Or
And if it's
competing.
not, he's out. Yeah, he's got like what I'm saying is he needs to be winning races.
And podiums minimum.
Yeah, well, they're getting podiums sometimes now, I suppose,
Yeah.
but yeah, no guarantees.
Let's
Yeah,
say it's
I
him
give
and
it.
Leclerc, they're evenly matched. He gets half of the podiums, no wins. That's not good.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I think it'll be 2 years. I think that's it. He's like, all right.
I mean, I think
gave it a shot.
I think 2
Bye.
years is locked in. It might be 3, might be 4, but after 3 years, if he hasn't won a handful of races and been competitive for the championship, why would he stick around for a 4th? But then why would Fernando Alonso stick around? I don't know.
I love that. Get Fernando in that car, and then we can have the team that's more than 40 years old with 2 40-year-old drivers.
Imagine that
And
the
flip
combined
script.
age of 90 and they're racing Formula One.
What I want is that reverse team where the oldest guys drive and the youngest people run the team. Like here's our CEO, 19-year-old, Andrea Peretti or whatever, and he's in charge. Or it's Alonso's kids. Like, he could be racing with his own children.
Father-son rule.
Could we how old are Alonso's kids?
Does Alonso have kids?
Fernando Alonso. They all do. Alonso children.
But does Fernando Alonso have kids? This is Fernando Alonso we're talking
Oh,
about.
no. No, he doesn't. Oh, wow. I'm a very family oriented. This is from Speed Week. In 22nd of December 2023, I'm a very family oriented person. I love spending time with my family. I thought I would already have children and a family at this point in my life, but I'm 42 years old now. Still don't have any children. He adds, but emphasizes in the same breath. At the same time, doing what I love to do. So, I mean, it sounds like you're an architect of like it's a bit like Mercedes. We thought if we just did this, we'd be winning by now. By 42, I'd have my own family. I'm very family oriented. I don't think you are. I think
In
you're
what
just
way
saying
is
the
he
goals.
family? I mean, he can be family oriented. Obviously, everybody has a family of some description, but I think his family is
Very
his Formula
family.
One family.
Yeah, I'm in his family. By
Him and
wearing
his-
his cap.
Him and his
Do you
2005
think he's speaking
and
his
6 trophies.
Kamoa family?
For the Kamoa family. That's right.
Kamoa family. Deep
I have
cuts.
two sons, Kim and Moa.
Moa. Okay. Yeah, Fernando Alonso, no kids. That's a shame. We won't get. Lewis doesn't have any either, so we're not going to get
That's
the
the hot-
father-son racing.
That's the super license tag. Fernando Alonso, no kids.
Maybe
we sorted
Felipe
that
Massa.
out.
Maybe they'll pay him back by giving him a race seat.
Oh, Felipe
Sorry,
Massa.
he
Do you
didn't
want to
win
talk
that
about
world championship. Yeah, go on. Regale me.
I mean, I talked a bit about this last year, but it was like, dude, what are you doing? You're obviously just in this for cash, and he wants to take it to court now. But the whole thing is a joke because, like, the whole maths of it doesn't make sense. Where he's like, well, there was that championship that I lost by 1 point. Problem is, there was a race in that year where someone cheated, and we didn't know until later. But someone said they did know, so that whole race result where I lost should be struck out.
Should be a.
Everything you said is true up until that. What did you say? What was that last thing you said? That race where someone cheated. That whole race result.
Cancelled.
Every car should 0 points for every car, right? Like every car that cheated. No, every car, including the people who scored more points than me. Skip to the end of the year. You're giving me a trophy instead. Yay!
Yeah.
Like, dude, it does not work like that.
World champion. Yeah.
Someone cheats, they get 0 points. You know what that means, though? That means Lewis Hamilton would have won that year by even more points. So he doesn't have a single leg to stand on.
I think this is what he's got nothing else to do, right? Nothing else to do. Get him back. That's what I mean. Put him back in a Formula One
This
car.
is
So
the
be busy.
problem.
Something to keep men who retire. They haven't got anything else to do.
That's the
Get him
problem.
back with
Just
his
men in
mates.
general. Men will
Men-
literally sue the FIA rather than go to therapy. You knew halfway through that's what I was going to say, right? Yeah.
It's good.
It's
good. Yeah. Well, at least, and like maybe Daniel Ricciardo can stay around long enough that his best friend in the world, Felipe Massa's son,
I didn't know who you were going
will
to say.
end up in. Yeah, he's always talking about Massa's kid,
Oh, okay.
little Felipe. Maybe he'll get into Formula One.
Felipe Massa's a guy who's family oriented. I'll tell you what.
That's true. That's true. Chill,
Can't not say that about him. Do we move on to a couple of other things and then wrap this baby up?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Australia Grand Prix is coming up, everybody. You know this. It's not this weekend, but it's the one after. The one thing I want to remind everybody, it's a great time. Obviously, people go there. They lose their mind. They drink too much. Last time I was there were guys like standing on rubbish bins trying to get up and look at the track, and then they fell off, and it was the biggest cheer I heard. The biggest cheer I heard for the
We're
whole
so
day.
classy.
people climbing trees, people losing their minds. But the thing you can't do this year, you can't go on the track. They've banned it because there was footage last year of people very, very much being on the track while the cars were still extremely doing their thing, ripping up the tarmac, which is just no good. So this year, unfortunately, because of some dingbats, because of some absolute Aussie doinks, nobody can have any fun.
It's such a shame, right? That we're not. We can't seem in Australia to exercise any restraint. It's like, no, it's allowed. So I can take whatever is on this track is mine, and I'm allowed to tear it up.
Fair game.
I'm allowed to break it. As soon as Max Verstappen crossed the finish line, this was our track. You know, it's ours to own.
I bought my ticket. I can take a sign home.
This is it, right? And so
now my home's sponsored by Rolex. What?
Closest you'll ever get to a Rolex. No, there's it because it's a shame because like I always thought that was really sweet. You know that everybody would walk to the podium and celebrate the winners. Like it comes from the right place.
Yeah.
And so
it's like
the social contract has just been broken, right? This is really the world's crumbling. It's falling apart.
What's the point of even going? What's the point of even starting a riot at a Grand Prix these days? No, imagine the Tifosi not being able to flood onto the podium. Like that's, it's craziness. But
I've done that walk. I went to Monza and when it ended, walked.
During the race weekend, how was it?
Yeah, exactly. It was great.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sure, it was during the race weekend.
I have been there.
On the track,
yes,
with the Tifosi underneath the podium like that.
I walked from my spot at the Ascuri curves.
Yeah, that's quite a. You got to cut. Can you cut across?
No, you have to walk around.
You have to go all the way around the parabolic.
What's that last? Yeah, the parabolic. There we go. Well done. Fuck me. You do a Formula 1.
I do okay. I know where Ascari is and everything.
Yeah, that's all right. Good you. Good on you. Good on you. It was a long walk. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been hot.
It was hot. My hands are blistered from being out in the sun the day before.
Don't like that.
No, bad. But also, like I had to sit on like cement bleachers because it's
you told me about
because where the Pastos live, and Monza's like this old aging track in the middle of a forest park in Monza, not in Milan. But I did that walk and it's great and it's fun and it's like a bit pilgrimagey. I don't know, like you're all together. These people, heading towards the podium, you get to celebrate. You've done it at Albert
We've
Park
done it at Albert Park.
So it's sad.
That's what I was going to say. I just hope that if you're listening to this, please take away this message. I hope everyone behaves themselves this year, and somehow we get it back the year after. I mean, it's not like we're Azerbaijan where people were running across the pit lane while the cars were coming directly at them or anything like that. It wasn't that bad. So just everyone behave yourselves this year so that we can get that tradition back.
We can get back on track.
Get back on track. Let's get the track back, Jack.
Yep.
Last thing I wanted to call out, Fantasy Formula 1. Now, we're obviously 2 rounds into
so bad at
the
season.
Game,
Rod.
Have you set a team yet?
Yeah, I set a team.
Then you're doing better than me because I logged in the other day and went, I've still got $21 million I can spend. Oh, they haven't picked a single driver or team. I've had a hell of a time.
You've had a rough start to the season.
A rough start to the year. So this is what I'm going to say. This is my challenge to you. I'm chasing down everybody now. Like Zach in the marathon style. I'm chasing people down. I've given you all a 2-race handicap. Yeah. Everybody that I pass,
predictions. That's the problem.
That's the real reason. Predictions. That's the real secret. Everybody that I pass from now until the end of the year, look out. You're going to be shamed at the end of the season. But if you haven't joined it, check in on where should we go? Go to Threads, go to Discord, and look for the links to the Fantasy F1 League.
Exactly. It's Fantasy GP. Just Google that, and then we'll put in the show notes the team code.
How to find all of that stuff.
It's really easy. You were looking right now. You've got it in front of you. If you're listening to this show on a podcast application, you're looking at the show notes.
Hit the top. No, hit the menu, and then it's down there. And then hit leagues, and then go into our league, and it's right there. So you did it. League.
Finally. I mean, you knew you're in our league. If you're listening to this, you're very firmly in our league. We're not in your league. That's the problem. Okay. Well, why don't we finish off talking about the Australian Grand Prix in a little bit more detail? We're a couple of weeks away, right? Are you gonna go?
It's not on the cards currently. Didn't go last year either. Last year was, I'm trying to remember. Last year was the one where we had like 7 red flags at the end of the race. Remember that?
Yep.
I remember not going to that one. I went to the one before that, and then before that was COVID darkness, so there was nothing happening for ages. But there's no plans currently to go. Probably watch
24th
it.
of March.
I should actually reach out to a buddy of mine and just see if he wants to watch it. Yeah, I might do that.
Me? Am I that buddy? No.
Do you want to watch it with me?
It's on at 4 a.m.
Come over.
Yeah, sure. All right, great. I'll just let me just arrange that. Didn't know the super license budget was so big these days that I could just. Is it business or
it's
first?
Fine.
Because
We've got sponsorship from Visa Cash App. It'll be fine.
Visa Cash App. They could Visa me some cash. All right, so it makes no sense.
No, I'll probably have a social watch.
And do you think we're in for an Oscar Piastri win? That would be good.
Imagine if he gets even a podium. They will have to.
And then
track
the
will get
fuel
burned down.
regulator punishment will get him.
No.
And then
Shut up.
shut up. Yeah, I'd like to see. I'd like Oscar. Yes, podium. Yes, especially because Max is going to win every bloody race.
Oh,
so.
actually, a surprise poll. Surprise poll for Oscar. That would be good. From out of nowhere poll.
Yeah, really wet, like qualifying.
Whatever,
and he goes
yeah,
out
sure.
last, and
Absolutely.
decides to go out on inters when everyone else is
For
on
sure.
wets, and he's like, "Fuck you guys."
Tsunoda mistakes Verstappen for Ricciardo and wipes him out. All of a sudden, Oscar.
He's got a
just
really good
Bradbury's through to
Australian
get pole. Yeah.
radar.
Well, I mean, I'd love to see it. I mean, there's people are posting online photos of the promotional stuff. What three drivers do you think would be in the promotional stuff for the Australian Grand Prix?
Well, okay, it'll be Max Verstappen, Daniel Ricciardo,
Nope.
Lewis Hamilton.
1 out of 3.
Max is the one I got.
No.
No, not the current
Ricciardo?
reigning. Ricciardo.
Piastri.
Well,
And who's the next most Australian driver on the grid?
Valtteri Bottas.
Valtteri Bottas.
VB,
How
the
good's
man
that?
himself. Wow. Okay, so I totally totally guessed wrong.
What?
Because
Make
I really,
words. Speak.
Shut up. I totally underestimated the. I'm a little bit jet lagged. Underestimated the marketing team at Formula One Australia
yeah.
because they really have pulled it out of the bag there. They've done 2
That's-
Australians good and one and a third half Australian. Good on him.
I mean, you could argue all 3 of them underdogs. I mean, even Piastri is doing well, but in his own team, maybe a bit of an underdog, bit of a quiet little.
Maybe he's just a dog.
Big call.
They're can you be an underdog team? Are they just a good team? I don't think that they're underperforming or overperforming. I think they're just doing what they should be doing now.
More that Piastri's like flying under the radar, and then Ricciardo at a no hoper team just trying his best, and then Bottas just having a good time.
Yeah, I like Bottas. They're really leaning in there at stake strike. What are they called again?
Strike bowling. By the way, strike is not
AMF
the word
one.
that's in.
I like it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think that joke's getting a little played out with Bottas now. That he's like, yeah, I've got a weird haircut and like I'm kind of cool and finish. Like, all right, guys, it's going to be a little bit more than just the Bottas team because he's not that compelling. He's compelling, but he's not that compelling.
He's really, in a weird way, downplaying himself to ramp up the absurdness of his persona, if you know what I mean. Like he's gone from being like Valtteri Bottas 3.0 at Mercedes to, I guess I'm at this no hoper team, so I can grow a mullet
I'm a
if
clown.
I want.
Yeah.
Look at me. Exactly. He's playing it up like I'm a goofy guy. Now he's playing down the goofy guy to being an aloof.
A
stranger.
Luffy guy.
Like
From
he's-
goof
he's-
to aloof. The
It's like-
Valtteri Bottas story.
You'll come to talk to me when you're interested in me. When you realize how interesting I am, you'll come and pay attention to me. He's like being coy in that way,
Yeah.
which is a weird energy.
You'd be surprised at my interesting watch collection. I traded for all of them. I didn't buy a single one. Yeah.
What does he do? Doesn't he make wine or something like that?
Does
I
he?
think he makes wine. No, I mean coffee for sure. He's a coffee guy.
He's a coffee boy. He's
We should
all
look into
big
that.
on,
Let's have a
I love
coffee off one
Melbourne.
day.
Okay.
We'll drink some Valtteri Bottas coffee on the pod one day. That'll
On
be
the pod. Oh, I'd love to do food, drink related stuff from Formula One people. Yeah.
There's heaps. There's heaps. We should start doing that.
Okay. We get on the F1
I
snacks.
can't say every month we'll do one, but I don't know. We'll try and do something.
I was
See how
thinking
we
because
go.
last time we did F1 snacks, I brought a lot of stuff back from Japan.
I
But
did. I
this
remember that.
time I didn't bring as many. I bought more.
Oh,
I did a
yeah.
duty free like fucking bottle shop run though. I was like looking, I was in the airport. So I was in Japan recently. For the people who don't know, whenever they run the Tokyo Marathon, it was great. 3:24.24 for those who were wondering. I took 1,000 people. Road said I started too far at the back. That was why I overtook everybody. Thanks, mate. Good friends. So on the way back, so I went to a couple of bottle shops in Tokyo looking for Japanese whiskey because I'm partial to a whiskey and I like Nikka and I like Yamazaki, and I couldn't find them anywhere because bottle shops in Tokyo are like, you know what, people like whiskey. We really like Scotch whiskey. Like we like, is this expensive Scotch stuff? And at the airport, I was at the duty free and I was looking around and looking. This guy came up and he's like, oh, don't know what to get. Classic American, like talking. I was like, stop, I don't want to talk to anyone. I'm about to get on a plane for 15 hours. Why are you talking to me?
What are we, friends? What are we dating?
Like, yeah, exactly. And so he was like, what are you interested in? What are you going to get? And I was like, well, I don't know enough about a lot of these brands. There is two Nickers here. And I'm currently reading a review set on this website that I would use to look at whiskeys. And he was like, oh, well, which one are you going to get? And I was like, oh, well, don't get the one I get because I don't know, like, if it's good. And he's like, oh, I don't know enough about it. And then this a flight attendant, British Airways flight attendant comes up who's also American and goes, oh, you guys seem to know what you're doing. And I was like, oh, no, I really don't. Like, and she's like, oh, well, you know, my son said something about Nikka. And I was like, well, so this man is also looking at Nikka, and there's these two brands, and I'm just reading this review that are comparing the two Nikka ones and da-da-da, but I don't know. I'm actually buying this one over here. There's, this completely different one. And then I could see the guy look at that one and go, I've never heard it. Like in his mind, just go, I've never heard of that. It's one of the more expensive ones here. And he just walked away. He just went, I don't know. And then he just left. Yeah. So I bought the one I wanted, and then I got chatted on the guy. He's like, what you should really be getting is sake. So I was like, give me the most middle of the road mid sake. And then we also got some sochu that we got talked into. Actually, the sake one was funny because the guy said, I was like, I do want some sake, but I don't know which one to get. I want something that's very middle. He's like, and he worked at the shop, and he was like, well, this is one of Japan's most popular sakes. It would be expensive for me, but I'm guessing it's cheap for you. And I don't know what energy I was giving off that I was like,
what does that mean?
Rich boy, that I could afford whatever sake I wanted. But good for me. So I bought 3 bottles of alcohol that are all made in Japan. Looking forward to trying them. Maybe I'll try them on the next show that we do.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you something else. Next time you're in Melbourne, we'll go hit up the whiskey bar. I know a really good one. One of those books where you just flip through and be like, I'm just going to go and ask the guy to recommend one because I don't know what I'm doing here. It's like a friggin' Bible full of whiskeys.
What do you like? There's nothing more scary than that question though. When someone's like, what do you like? Have you been to a cocktail bar that's like that? Like, we don't have a menu.
You know
what kind of cocktails do you like?
When you mention, I don't know much about whiskey, and like, what do you like? You're like, I don't know, maybe a bit sort of like a hint of smoke, maybe a little hint of smoke, and they're like, have this, and they pass you a cup of smoke with a drop of water in it, and you're like, this is not a hint.
Scotland, yeah,
didn't get the hint,
smoke.
Bro.
Yeah, it's like it's like ChatGPT setting you up an option.
This is very much evolving from a podcast into just me and you having a Zoom call. So let's wrap it up. You can follow us on Threads. We're at Super License. There's superlicense.fm, which is our website, and also coincidentally, the FM stands for Zach.
Frickin' Maniacs.
Frickin' Maniacs are on there, which is us.
Yeah, because we go to the Australian Grand Prix and we tear up all the sponsor signage. Frickin' Maniacs.
Links from there to the Discord, links from there to YouTube, links from there to all of the places that we are. TikTok? We're going to mention the other thing that I was going to say. We're on TikTok. We're doing tactics.
All right.
We're doing tuk-tuks. We're riding around in tuk-tuks now.
We're pulling tuk-tuks. Get in. Take you wherever you want to go. Dreamland.
Just in time for it to be banned in the US, we're launching the super license.
No, they said they were going to make it better. What is that?
Legitimately, if it gets banned in the US, it's more appealing for me to try it.
Really?
Yeah. Imagine, like Zach, you grew up in the same world that I grew up in.
I did.
Imagine a world without America. Doesn't that just nice?
No, that's weird. What about all of the? I don't know.
What about?
What about all the cool
stuff? What about Scott Speed?
Yeah, what about Scott Speed? What about Gene Haas?
Well, no, I got it that Gene Haas won't be there.
We're just at Super License. We've got 5 followers right now.
Excellent. So I thought we had a few more than that, but I mean, we're putting up stuff and it's going friggin' sicko.
It's going viral. One of these has got 3,000 views. So
yeah.
cool stuff, clips from the show, other bits and
Yes,
pieces
clips
when
from
we
the
make
show.
them. We'd love to have you on there. If you're a tick-tacker, as Rod said, tic-tac-toe, toc-tick, because you know that I'm toc-tick.
Come there, talk all about ticks. And we'll be back, I guess, in a month's time, which will be after the Australian Grand Prix and maybe
Yeah, a few
after
weeks'
the
time.
Japanese Grand Prix.
Ooh.
So we'll recap those races next time.
Dang,
And all
just
the other
missed
big
that Japanese Grand
stories.
Prix.
Oh gosh,
just missed
by
it.
the skin of about a month. Just
Yep.
not, just man, the ship's in the night.
I was there for the big race. The one
Yes,
on
that's true.
legs.
The big one, the one that counts. It's twice as long. That means it's twice as good. Anyway, again, it's devolving into us just chit-chatting on TikTok. And so, till next time, I've been Rod.
I'm been Zach.
And we'll see you on the next episode.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Don't know why your outro caught me out that time.
Just does that sometimes, baby. He just does that sometimes. Once this wraps up, let's turn the cameras off. Let's go watch this Key and Peele sketch, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. Well, we missed the yeah.
Sorry, y'all missed out.
Yeah. I'm accused of being too much of a shoulder dancer. Too many shoulders. I was like, you're a good dancer, but so many shoulders. Anyway.
Too much fun.